So, I popped into High House Insurance to see if they could quote for my house insurance rather than using the internet. High House got a great deal. So to celebrate, I bought a posh hairdo. It made me look beautiful, gorgeous enough to become a highly paid model. I then won Celebrity Big Brother. I had an affair with an MP. Now I'm promoting a doll of me that says, "Cool, blimey, you're well fit."
Happy things happen when you talk face-to-face with High House Insurance. See if we can beat your home insurance quote from the internet. Find us on the High Street, Selsey, or call 606 552.
Hello and a warm welcome to Manhood Internet Radio. I'm Tony Weiner, your host for the show. We will start the programme this week with Alison's review of what's on in the area, and that will be followed with the answers to last week's quiz. Our astronomer John Mallett gives an update on the Dark Sky project in the South Downs National Park. Keith Barnes has provided us with two great recipes this week, and we will finish the show with Mr. Quiz Kevin, who poses another set of brain teasers. Okay then, so let's start the show, and it's over to Alison for a roundup of what's on in the area.
Hello and welcome once again to our roundup of what's on in Selsey this coming week. On Thursday, it's the turn of the Cinema Club again, and this week they're showing Trumbo, which is a 15, based on a true story. That should be interesting. It begins at 7:30 in the Town Hall. Tickets are £5 each. You can either buy them on the door or buy them in advance, but with doing that there is a booking fee. It stars Bryan Cranston, Diane Lane and Helen Mirren. That's Trumbo on Thursday. On Saturday we have another cinematic treat. This time it's a sing-along version of The Sound of Music. Seikos are putting this on, but it is the film version. It's being held again at Selsey Town Hall at 7:30. Tickets this time are £6.50, costumes being optional, they tell us. It is possible to buy tickets in advance. You get those from High House Insurance. I imagine it would be very wise to book ahead for that. So come along and sing along A Sound of Music. On Sunday, the next day, the Selsey carers are holding a car boot sale at the Academy from 7:30 in the morning until 1 o'clock. Cars are charged at £7, cars and a trailer £10 and vans £12. Also on Sunday, you can have a look at the archaeology of Medmary Beach, which will be an RSPB guided walk taking around 3 hours and 5 miles in length. That begins at 1:30 in the afternoon. The price for that is £12 each, or £9 for RSPB members and CDAS members, to meet at the RSPB car park at Ernley. Later on in the afternoon, if you've had enough of all that walking around, how about a respite tea at East Beach Church? That's from 3 o'clock until 4:30. It's free tea and a chat for those who otherwise would spend the weekend alone. And then on Monday, the 18th, there's a dementia awareness session to be held at Selsey Library from 1:30 in the afternoon until 2:45. This will provide information about dementia and the support available locally, which is provided by the Alzheimer's Society, and there will be a representative from the Society there. And the next day, Tuesday the 19th, the carers are holding a coffee morning at 10:30 in the morning at their premises, 109 High Street. Well, looks like that's it for Selsey. Let's cross the rest of the peninsula now and have a look at what's happening in Bracklesham and the Witterings. Nothing out of the ordinary this week in that location, so I'll just highlight a few of the regular activities they hold down there. First of all, every Tuesday there's the Little Explorers Play and Learn Together. That's held at Bracklesham Barn from 9:30 until 11. Then there's Meet and Greet at West Wittering Memorial Hall with coffee, games, homemade soup and a roll. That lasts from 10:15 in the morning until 1 o'clock. There's yoga with Elaine at Bracklesham Barn from 10 o'clock until 11 o'clock. And then a little bit later, Love Laughter with Katrina. That's also at the barn from 11:30 until 12:30. In the evening at the barn, there's a chance to play badminton from 7:30 until 9:30. There's also a community pop choir held at West Wittering Memorial Hall from 7 until 9. And there's a free pool pond at the barn from 7 o'clock. On Wednesdays, you can go and play table tennis, which is drop-in for adults only, at the barn from 10 o'clock until 12 midday. Running alongside that, there's CBT motorcycle training at the barn from 9 until 11, followed by gyrokensis with Jen from 11 until 12. At lunchtime, there's belly dancing with Step Inside at Bracklesham Barn from 1 o'clock until 2, followed by short mat bowls at the barn from 2 until 4. Then there's a little break before it's time for Zumba with Louise at the barn from 6:30 until 7:30. If that's not for you, there's St Anne's Fellowship Circle meeting at 2:30 at the Village Hall, and later in the evening there's line dancing at the Royal British Legion from 7 until 9, and you'd all be very welcome there. There's happy hour at the Pond Barn from 5 until 8. So that's about it for this coming week. Hope you enjoy some of those activities. I'll speak to you again next week. Bye.
Thank you, Alison. Now let's find out the answers to last week's brain teaser.
And here are the answers to last week's Kevin's Connections quiz. And Kevin asked us, what is the score of a 2-under par on one hole in golf called? And that is, of course, an eagle. Which instrumental was a big hit for Fleetwood Mac in 1969? That was, of course, Albatross. Who designed the current St Paul's Cathedral? Well, that was Christopher Wren. Which 60s kids show was ITV's equivalent to Blue Peter? That was Magpie. And who was on the back of the £10 note from 1975 to 1994? And that was Florence Nightingale. And the connection is birds. That really was a bit of an easy one by your stand, Kevin, certainly.
We now have an item on the Dark Skies project, and so it's over to John Mallett.
Hello, this is John Mallett with a quick update on the South Downs National Park Dark Sky Reserve. Well, the good news is that this park is now one of the latest to become an international dark sky reserve. It is only the second in England. Some of the darkest skies in England are now only 5 miles north of Chichester. The website to find out all about this reserve is www.southdowns.gov.uk. Then you have to click on Enjoy, and then click on Explore, and then Dark-Night Skies. So it's difficult to find the information, but there's a very good map on that site which will show you where all the dark sky locations are. So it's congratulations to Dan Oakley and his team for working over the past few years to change the 2700 street lights and take 25,000 measurements to ensure that we can look up and see the Milky Way from a site only a few miles from our home. So well done, Dan.
Thank you, John, and congratulations to all involved in achieving the dark skies. We now have 2 great recipes, and our chef de cuisine, Keith, is here to tell you all about them.
And our first recipe for this week is lamb cutlets in pastry with red wine gravy. Now, this is a posh dinner that's easier to make than it looks, and choose lovely British lamb, of course, good quality puff pastry and decent red wine, and you can't go wrong. Now this will serve 4, and this is what we need. 1 well-trimmed rack of lamb, or 8 lamb cutlets, 1 tablespoonful of sunflower oil, plain flour just for rolling, 500 grams of ready-made puff pastry, 4 teaspoonsful of mint jelly, 1 egg beaten, some sea salt flakes, and some freshly ground black pepper. And for the red wine gravy, we need 150 ml of red wine, 200 ml of lamb stock made with a half a lamb stock cube, 1 tablespoonful of red currant jelly, and 1 teaspoonful of corn flour. And this is what we do. Put the rack of lamb on a board and cut into 8 cutlets, and season the cutlets all over with salt and pepper. Heat the oil in a large non-stick frying pan. Fry the cutlets in batches over a medium heat for 2 minutes on each side until nicely browned, and then transfer them to a plate and leave them to cool. To make the gravy, return the frying pan to the heat and pour in the red wine. Now stir to lift the sticky sediment from the bottom of the pan, because that gives it a lot of flavour, and bubble for 30 seconds or so. Then add the lamb stock and red currant jelly and bring to the boil and cook for 2 to 3 minutes or until the liquid is reduced by half. Mix the corn flour with 2 teaspoonsful of cold water in a small bowl until it's nice and smooth, and then stir that into the frying pan. Stir in any juices from the lamb and cook the gravy for a minute more until thickened and glossy. Now season and pour into a small pan, set aside until you're ready to cook the cutlets. Line a large baking tray with baking parchment and sprinkle a light dusting of flour over your work surface and roll out the pastry until roughly 30 centimetres by 30 centimetres and about 3 millimetres thick. And cut 8 squares, each measuring about 10 to 12 centimetres. Cut those out of the pastry, and depending on the size of the cutlets, of course. And place half a teaspoonful of mint jelly just off centre on each pastry square, and put a cutlet on top towards one of the corners. Brush the pastry edges lightly with a beaten egg, and fold the remaining 3 corners of the pastry over the lamb. Wrap firmly around the meat and leave the bone bare if possible. Turn the parcels over and place on the lined tray. Now the parcels can now be put into the fridge for a few hours, or even overnight if you like, until you're ready to bake them. Now preheat the oven to 200 degrees centigrade or gas mark 6. Bake the cutlets for 20 minutes until risen and golden brown. Reheat the gravy until bubbling and simmer for a minute or 2 while stirring. Check the seasoning and serve with the cutlets. And that's simple and straightforward and very tasty. And our second recipe for this week is easy crispy chicken. Now this is finger looking good, of course, and all the family will love it. This will serve 4, and this is what we need. 150 grams of white sliced bread, about 4 slices. 4 teaspoonsful of dried oregano or dried mixed herbs. 2 teaspoonsful of flaked sea salt. 25 grams of Parmesan cheese, finely grated. 4 tablespoonsful of low-fat natural yogurt. And 1 to 2 tablespoonsful of plain flour. And 4 boneless, skinless chicken breasts, each about 160 grams, and some freshly ground black pepper. And this is what we do. Preheat the oven to 220 degrees centigrade, or gas mark 7. Place the bread on a large baking tray lined with baking parchment and toast until pale golden brown. Now leave that to cool for 5 minutes and then remove the crusts and tear the bread into large pieces. Put the bread in a food processor and blitz it into crumbs. Now tip these into a large bowl and toss with the oregano, salt and the Parmesan cheese, and then season with lots of black pepper. Divide the crumb mixture between 2 dinner plates. Spoon the yogurt into a bowl and sprinkle the flour on a plate. Take a chicken breast and coat it lightly in the flour, shaking off any excess, then dip it into the yogurt until evenly covered, and then place the chicken on a plate of crumb mix and press so you get a nice thickish crust all over. Transfer the chicken carefully to the lined baking tray and continue dipping and coating the rest of the chicken breasts until they've all been done and they've all got a lovely crust of crumbs. And each plate of crumbs should be enough to coat about 2 chicken breasts. So bake the chicken for 20 to 25 minutes until golden, and they're nice and crisp and cooked through, and then leave to stand for 4 or 5 minutes before serving with some nice fresh green salad. And that's a nice summary dish, crispy chicken. And it's nice and easy to do, and it's good for you. And there's only 299 calories per portion. So if you're on a diet, you can still have it. No excuses at all. And that's it for this week. See you soon.
Thank you, Chef. It is now that time when we challenge you with another tricky test, so over to Kevin.
Hi, it's Kevin again with your connections quiz. 5 general knowledge questions. What are the answers to the questions? And what is the thing that connects all the answers? And here we go. Question number 1. Beer question. In the 1970s, which beer was said to work wonders? Which beer was said to work wonders? Number 2. What wedding anniversary do you celebrate if you've been married 40 years? Question number 3. Pop music. Which song about a singer was a hit for Elkie Brooks in 1977? Number 4. TV question. Which sci-fi series on television starred David McCallum and Joanna Lumley? Last broadcast in 1982. What was the name of the series? And number 5. What chemical element has the symbol AU? AU. That's your 5 questions. What connects all the answers?
So, we have reached the end of this week's show. It's thanks to all our contributors, including Local Life magazine, our sound editor John Mallett, our presenters Alison, John, Keith and David, not forgetting of course our producer John Fletcher. So it's goodbye from me, Tony Weiner, until next time. Bye.